You ever look at a language and just wonder, how do you even build that from scratch? Well, today, we're going to do something cool. We're going to look at learning Arabic like we're architects. We've got the blueprint right here, and we're going to follow this roadmap to see how the entire structure gets built, from the very first brick to the final intricate details.
So really, how do you build a language? It can feel a little like you're standing in front of a giant skyscraper thinking there's no way you could build that from the ground up. But you know, just like any great building, it all starts with a solid plan.
And that's exactly what we have in front of us. We're going to treat the syllabus of an Arabic course as our official blueprint. It's going to show us, step by step, how this beautiful language is put together. So, let's get ready to lay the groundwork.
Okay, so our whole construction project is broken down into 5 key stages. First, we're laying the foundation. Then, we'll get into building basic sentences. After that, we're mastering verbs and tenses, then adding complexity and nuance. And to finish it all off, we'll get into the art of Arabic.
Right, first things first. Every great structure starts with a really solid foundation. So in this first stage, we're looking at the essential bricks and mortar, the absolute fundamentals you have to have before you can build anything else.
So where do you start? It's actually super simple. You just learn how to point at stuff, literally. The very first lessons are all about saying this is and that is, and then learning how to say the thing, to be specific. These are your most basic, essential bricks. Can't build anything without them.
But hey, bricks by themselves don't make a wall, right? You need mortar to hold them together. In language, that's what prepositions are. Words like in, on, from, and to. Think of them as the nails in the glue that start connecting your basic words. Once you have these, your foundation is pretty much complete. All right, our foundation is set. Now it's time to actually erect the frame. This next part is all about taking those individual pieces and putting them together to build your very first complete sentences.
Now, a really core concept in Arabic's architecture is gender. Every single noun is either masculine or feminine, and this little detail actually changes the words around it. So you'll use different pronouns for he and she, and even the word for this changes depending on the noun. It's a fundamental rule you learn really early on. And this all leads us to the very first type of structure you're going to build, the nominal sentence. It's a sentence that just starts with a noun, like, the house is big. This simple, elegant form is one of only 2 major sentence types in the entire language, and you master it right at the beginning. Okay, so our building has a foundation and a frame, but it's pretty static. It doesn't do anything yet. Stage 3 is all about adding the electricity and the plumbing, the verbs and tenses that bring the whole thing to life with action and time.
The blueprint introduces time in a really logical way. You start with the past tense, which in Arabic is often the simplest form of the verb. Then, from that starting point, you learn how to tweak it to make the present and future tenses. It's a super efficient system.
And here's where Arabic verbs get incredibly efficient. Unlike English, the verb itself actually changes to tell you who is doing the action. The word for went will have a different ending depending on if he went, she went, or they went. Mastering these patterns is kind of like learning to wire every single room in the house.
So, we've got a functional house. Now it's time for stage 4. This is where we add the interior walls, the detailed wiring, all the stuff that makes it a sophisticated home. This is where we add complexity and nuance.
To add all that nuance, you need the right tools to ask questions. The blueprint introduces question words really methodically. You start with the absolute basics, like who,
And of course, what?
before you build out your toolkit with when, where, and how. These are the tools that let you add layers of detail and really understand the world in a much richer way.
Okay, now this is a fascinating little detail of Arabic's design. It has multiple ways to make a word plural. Some are called sound plurals, and they follow a pretty predictable pattern, kind of like just adding an S in English. But a lot of them are broken plurals, where the word's internal structure basically shatters and reforms into a new pattern. It's a really unique feature, and there's even a special form just for pairs of things, the dual.
And of course, no construction is complete without being able to measure things. The blueprint makes sure you can count everything, from the number of bricks to the total cost. It covers numbers all the way up to 1,000 and way beyond.
And here we are. We've reached the final stage. The house is built, it's wired, it's plumbed.
Now for the part that really turns a house into a home. The art, the decoration, the style. This is where the language becomes truly beautiful.
So this is where the blueprint moves past simple grammar and into the world of rhetoric. You learn the proper way to call out to someone, how to exclaim in surprise, and even the formal structures for things like praise and blame. This is the art of speaking not just correctly, but beautifully.
And the final layer of mastery, it's called morphology. This is like understanding the molecular structure of your building materials. You learn how different Arabic words are all formed from a common root, which lets you see these deep connections between words like writer, book, and library. It's incredible.
When you step back and look at it all, what becomes so clear is the sheer breadth of this blueprint. The journey it maps out is just immense. It takes you from the simplest possible phrase you can imagine, "this is," all the way to the most intricate details of the written script, like the rules for this tiny symbol called the Hamza. So there you have it. From a solid foundation to a beautifully decorated structure, every single step of building this language is clearly laid out. The blueprint is complete. The only question left is, what are you ready to build with it?